Welcome back to the college lineup. I'm Eli.
And I am Carson. It is good to be back with you, Eli. Episode number 26 of the college lineup coming right at you here. We are in the middle of the NCAA baseball regional weekend. So we're recording this on Saturday, May 30th here. We just had a pretty crazy day one of regionals, Eli. So what do you say we start with recapping some of our day one regional games from yesterday, Friday, May 29th?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so going to kind of roll through here and see some things that stuck out at me when looking at games. First off, we got to start at the top, right? Let's start with number 1 seed UCLA. I saw they're the first ever 1 seed to lose their opening regional game ever. They lost last night 3-2 to St. Mary's in their own building. Eli, what do you think?
Yeah, so it was a good game. But before we kind of dig into it, I do want to say, man, Carson, we're kind of talking a little bit about it before the podcast started, and we were seeing that obviously UCLA was the first number 1 seed to lose in their home opener, like Carson said. And I said, as a Vandy fan, that makes me feel a little bit better because obviously last year Vandy was one of the sole number 1 overall seed of the whole tournament. And they had a first round regional exit hosting their own regional. So at least they didn't lose the home opener there. But at the same time, UCLA still has a game that they can bounce back and hopefully win and keep winning in their regional and maybe make it out of the regional even. But after losing that one, even if you win today, it's still going to be hard to kind of bounce back and win. So it'll be interesting to see. It was definitely a pitcher's duel. It was tied at 1 going into the 5th inning. UCLA was able to score and go up 2-1, but in the top of the 6th, St. Mary's came right back and tied the game. And then there wasn't any scoring until the top of the 9th when St. Mary's hit a solo home run to go up 3-2, and they were able to shut UCLA down in the bottom of the 9th. So there's not much to that game. It was an exciting game, but with it being a pitcher's duel, there's not much to recap. So it was a fun game. I went back and watched the highlights, and it was pretty hype when St. Mary's hit the solo home run to get ahead in the top of the 9th. But overall, it'll be interesting to see how St. Mary's does the rest of this weekend in the regional and see if UCLA can bounce back.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things that makes baseball so hard to judge. Is yesterday during these regional games, we had some big upsets like UCLA and Auburn with the big upset, and a couple more that we'll get into here in a minute. But then you also see some of these highly ranked teams like Georgia Tech and Alabama just absolutely taking it to some teams. Georgia Tech with a big win, 22-5. We see Alabama beating their fellow in-state opponent, Alabama State, 21-3 with 15 hits. And then you see a school like Texas A&M also hosting a regional who had kind of a struggle win versus Lamar, 7-5, and you see Florida with kind of a struggle win, 8-7. So I think yesterday is a great overall perspective of regional baseball, of just how tough it is to judge how good these baseball teams are and what teams are going to play well coming down the stretch in postseason baseball. Just because it's baseball, anything can happen. Any pitcher can go up there and throw a great game like we've seen. Any sort of mix of weird baseball things can happen. That just makes baseball so hard to judge, and yesterday was just a great showing of that. I know a team that I've really been big on this season is Georgia. They drew Long Island University yesterday in the Athens Regional first game. They won 18-2 off of 20 hits. I know we kind of didn't recap the SEC tournament at all, but is there anything with this Georgia team that's really sticking out to you, or just what are your thoughts on this Georgia being the leader of the SEC moving into postseason play?
They're just a good team. They've definitely shown it throughout SEC play, but now first games of the regional series. Some people are questioning how good the SEC actually was this year, and a lot of people were saying it might have been a down year. Which again, you do have teams like Auburn losing to Milwaukee. You did have Texas A&M barely pulling it out against Lamar. But like Carson said too, you also had people like Mississippi State beating Lipscomb 10-1, and then you have Alabama killing Alabama State 21-3. And Georgia again, like we're talking about right now, they won 18-2. So it's weird because there's a healthy amount of balance throughout the SEC. You got you got some of the teams really performing well and then the other teams not so well. So it is very interesting to see. But going back to Georgia, I think they're going to be just fine. I expect them to win their regional and make it to the Supers. I wouldn't doubt that them potentially hosting a super regionals, depending on how everything falls in the rest of the regional brackets there as well. But just like Carson, I'm really high on them. I think they have a great chance at making it to Omaha this year. I'm not sure if they have enough down the pipe to be able to win the national championship, but I do think that they are going to be a very competitive team, and I think that it's one team that you don't want to take for granted. Which now in the playoffs, you obviously don't take any team for granted. Ask Auburn in the Milwaukee loss there, or as Florida, who barely was able to pull out against Rider. And Rider, I think, got up 7-6 at one time, and Florida had to really bounce back and win that game. So overall, I think Georgia is just fine where they're at, especially winning their game today. And I think they got a good shot at making Omaha.
Absolutely, yeah. That Georgia team is just a power hitting team. It's going to really take some good pitching and some good defense to really kind of make up for just how strong Georgia is offensively there. Another big, shocking kind of turn of events for the SEC yesterday was Tennessee losing to Eastern Carolina 7-3, 14-inning game here. And then as of this morning, Tennessee has been upset 4-5 by VCU in the Chapel Hill Regional, ending the Tennessee Volunteer season. They go 0-2 in NCAA regional play for 2026 and are eliminated from College World Series contention. I think this is the Auburn loss surprised me, but as of today, it looks like they're back to normal. They are comfortably winning their game this morning versus NC State, but Tennessee dropping back-to-back games really shocked me here. This kind of, we've said this year that Tennessee is not the same Tennessee team as we've seen in the past since Vitello left, since they've had a lot of player transfers out. You can go down the rabbit hole of a different mix of things that make this Tennessee team not what they've been in the past. But I think this is where you can really see it on paper. 0-2 in regional. This is a team that just won the College World Series a couple of years ago. This is a team that has always been competitive in the SEC. It's always been at least a super regional or College World Series team, and they go 0-2 in NCAA regional play. Eli, do you have any thoughts on this or this Tennessee team in general?
Yeah, I do. I think that it was so hard because Tennessee has had streaks where they've been really good this season, but they've also had streaks that they've really struggled. And they didn't, they haven't done super hot. So I guess they were hoping for more of a regional rally, maybe, as some would say. But they did struggle the two games, and they ultimately got eliminated. Obviously, as a Vandy fan, that makes me happy because we did sweep them in the regular season. And then, although we didn't make it, so I guess you have that you can hang your hats on. We didn't get beat 2 games and out, but you can go back to last season and talk crap about us too. So nonetheless, it is. I'm glad to see it. Hate it for the Tennessee fans. You never want to go 2 and out in a regional where you could have very well won the regional and hopefully made it to supers. But at the same time, I think they were just a little too wishy-washy this whole season to be very consistent, and I think in the end, as you can tell, that obviously kind of hurt them.
Yeah, for sure. But I think this is a Tennessee team that'll kind of have to find their own identity in this offseason. We have the portal opening up this Monday, June 1st, actually. So how is the Tennessee team going to be able to bring players in without Coach Vitello? Yep. How are they going to be able to find their own identity apart from him? And, what can we really look forward to so this Tennessee team can set themselves up for future success? Because they just don't have their own brand of baseball right now. I think that's obvious. Definitely not the same brand that we've seen in the past couple of years. So I'll be looking for Tennessee to kind of find their own identity this transfer portal season and just kind of move forward. One of the last games here from yesterday that really stood out to me was Florida State losing to St. John's 6-5. This was in the Tallahassee Regional. Florida State, it was the 10 seed in this game. St. John's unranked, coming in at 34-24. Florida State coming in at 38-18. Both teams had 11 hits, 1 error, but we see Florida State just coming up short last night. This was another big upset yesterday to go along with all the other games that we saw. So this was kind of a game that not many people, I would say, had on their radar. I think this was just kind of a very easy opening draw for Florida State. No one really had this game circled, but it's one of those that, again, like we talked about earlier, just kind of adds to the illusion that baseball is so hard to predict and it's so hard to tell what games teams are going to struggle with and what games teams are going to really have no issues with. So another big upset here. Eli, do you have any thoughts on Florida State?
Yeah, it's just like Florida State could never get ahead of the ball. You know, they would hit a home run. St. John's would match them with a home run. They would hit another home run. St. John's would match it. Excuse me. Oh,
Bless you.
sorry. Thank you. So they just could not get the runs that they needed to be able to stay away from the St. John's team. But I applaud St. John's and being able to hang on. Oh man, it's not even turned on. Anyway, nonetheless, we see here that St. John's was able to pull out the win there and do really well in it as well. They held both of them had 11 hits, so definitely not much of a pitcher's duel. But at the same time, St. John's was able to pull it out and move on and go into the winner's bracket, which is nice. And Florida State plays today in hopes to keep their season alive. And if not, then we may see another highly touted team be eliminated today after Tennessee was too. Also, bouncing off of that a little bit, going away from that, UCLA is up 3-2 right now in the game that they're playing. So that'll be an interesting game to watch. But other than that, the only other game I wanted to point out on the Friday slate was just a Florida Rider game, just because Florida had it in the bag the whole game. They were up 4-0 for the longest time until the 8th inning, actually. And Rider goes on. They hit a grand slam, and then I think they even hit another home run. Nonetheless, they got up 6, or they tied it at 6, and then got up 7-6 in the top of the 9th or something. I don't know. Anyway, they lost 8-7. So Florida, I've been really high on Florida all season, and they ultimately struggled against Rider. Hopefully, they'll have a bounce back game, even though they did win this one, because I think they are very much so on a roll. So being able to pull out a close one here, I think is good. But Rider really showed some heart in scoring 6 in the 8th, because it was 0-0, so they got up 6-4, and then Florida was able to score 3 in the bottom of the 8th to go up 7-6, and then Rider was able to tie it, but then in the bottom of the 9th, Florida walked it off with a home run. So I know that's kind of a little bit off of a tangent. You know, we were talking about a different game, but anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and point out how Florida did struggle against this Rider team, but maybe they can bounce back again today, I guess, when we're recording this.
Yeah, they have to bounce back tonight. They have the late game, 8 o'clock against Miami, a little in-state matchup there. So that'll be a great game tonight. But, yeah, this was a game that Florida honestly just should have ran away with, and they just never could get the ball rolling there. We see 3 home runs in this game from Rider in 17 total bases compared to the 5 home runs from Florida and 31 total bases there. So this is a game that this should not have even been this close. This is just one of those that Florida's got to be able just, when they have the foot on the gas, essentially just to press it down, foot on the throat, take care of business here. And just got a little bit of a jump scare there. I don't think anyone thought this game was truly ever in danger, but Rider did put up 6 in the 8th inning, like you mentioned there, and then 1 in the 9th, just to kind of make it close, give everyone in the ballpark a nice little scare. But ultimately, this was a game that Florida just has to be able to finish and finish well.
Yep.
And so I look for that the rest of this postseason, to be able to finish games, and when you get off to a good start, be able to have enough pitching and defense to last you the rest of the game.
Yep. Is there any games that you think about that's going on right now? I know this won't get posted till maybe tomorrow, but right now, I mean, there's some good games going. Like I pointed out, the UCLA Virginia Tech game. Is there any that are standing out to you right now that you would like to just bring up?
It's hard to tell. Right now, Saturday, it's still early. A lot of these games are still in the early stages. I do look at Auburn with the big bounce back, currently up 17-8 against NC State in the 6th. I think that is just a great bounce back, a big sigh of relief for this Auburn fan base and this Auburn team, because yesterday was kind of a what the heck just happened moment.
Yeah.
They actually got down 10-0 against Milwaukee yesterday, and we're trying to claw their way back. But when you get down 10-0 in your opening game of the regional in your own ballpark, you're kind of like, what's going on? Right. But this Auburn team had a big first inning today. We're up to 10 runs already by the second inning was over with. So great bounce back there. That sticks out to me. I also see Eastern Carolina is up on North Carolina right now. This is subject to change. It's only the end of the second inning. But, this is an Eastern Carolina team that's kind of been, I wouldn't say slept on all year, but they're definitely still not favored in most of the games that they play. Yesterday they beat Tennessee. Big win there. They're currently beating the regional host North Carolina 2-0 in the second. So I do look for this Eastern Carolina team to continue to perform well as we go throughout the rest of this postseason. Then also we have Kentucky up 4-0 right now against West Virginia. This is a Kentucky team that was one of the last 4 teams into postseason play right here. A lot of people counted them out. The one thing that got them in is they do have great wins this season. They have great wins against big teams, and that's just been the thing Kentucky's been preaching in the SEC tournament towards the end of the regular season of trying to find their way in because they have those big wins built into their resume, and we're seeing it play off here, currently beating the regional host West Virginia 4-0 at the end of the second. Eli, what about you? Are there any games going on right now that stick out to you?
Yeah, the only other game that you didn't point out that I just wanted to point out, and then we can move on, is the Georgia Liberty game. It's actually at the bottom of the second, and Liberty and Georgia are tied at 2. So that'll be an interesting game. I still really personally don't think it'll be that close when we look at the score again at the end of the game. But right now, the Liberty Flames are hanging in there with Georgia, and hopefully Georgia doesn't lose because that would not look good. But other than that, I think that's the only other game that's going on right now, at least that I would be of any concern. But that would be very small concern because I really don't think that Georgia is end up going to lose to Liberty.
So with that, we're going to move into our next segment, and we will be back to recap some more NCAA regional games after they're completed next week.
Welcome back into our next segment, the Weekly Hunt.
Welcome back to the Weekly Hunt segment. If you are new to the college lineup and you are unfamiliar with what the Weekly Hunt segment is, this is a segment where we take a look into all things University of North Alabama athletics. This is where me and Eli both went to college, met, and we're roommates, so we like to stay in the know-how and keep up and share what's going on with our alma mater, UNA, and kind of just share what their athletic teams are doing, what's new with the program, and what's new with the school in terms of athletics. So right now we just had UNA baseball season come to an end in the ASUN baseball tournament. Heartbreaking fashion for those of you that watched and tuned in here. This is actually only the second year that UNA baseball has made the ASUN tournament since switching over to D1 and ultimately the ASUN conference. So Eli, I'll let you start it off. Any first thoughts about this UNA baseball team in the ASUN tournament or season in general?
Yeah, I would say overall it was a good season. We were co-ASUN champions in the regular season. We shared that with Lipscomb in the gold division there. But like you said, what a heartbreaking weekend. Great weekend to start. We thought we might even get to be in the winner's bracket and have to be beat twice, but it ended up not working out. We did win the first game we played against the number 5 Jacksonville team 5-0. Then we moved on to play the number 1 seed in the ASUN North Florida. We beat them 11-4. So now you're thinking, if we go and beat Lipscomb, on Friday, now all of a sudden whoever ends up making it to the championship with us will have to beat us twice. But that was unfortunately not the case. We played a 14-inning game with Lipscomb and lost 4-3. So kind of down on our luck there, but we bounced back Saturday morning at 9:30. After that game went to like 1 a.m. or something. I don't know. It was late, and I stayed up to watch it because I was like, if we can beat Lipscomb, we're sitting pretty. Nonetheless, get up, play a 9:30 game, win 6-5 against FGCU, and have to bounce back and play a 1:30 game against Lipscomb. And so, really close game. We had the chance to win the game. The way we gave up a tie to tie the game, there was 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, and they hit it to our center fielder, and it looks like our center fielder got caught up a little bit and maybe turned around. I don't know. It looked like the ball hit hit the back end of his glove, so maybe he closed his glove a little early. I'm not sure. Nonetheless, it hits off his glove. He didn't look too good doing it either, and it just fell to the ground, and they tied the game. So if we would, all we had to do is catch that, and we'd at least get a game 2 against them later that evening, or I think it'd been Sunday. But we couldn't do that, and then they walked us off in the 10th inning. So just a heartbreaker in 2 ways, because we did have a chance to win, and then they were able to tie it, and then we got walked off in the bottom of the 10th. So nonetheless, I think overall it was a good season. I can't tell you the last time we've won an ASUN championship in baseball. I don't know if we ever have, but so that's nice to get to see. But being co-winners, and then then Lipscomb beating you twice both times they played you in the ASUN really makes you feel like, do we really deserve that ASUN championship, a regular season? So anyway, that's pretty much all I have on it. I think it was a good season, and I'm excited to see what's ahead for this UNA baseball team. But other than that, that's all I got.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with everything I had there. The cards were going to be against anyone who lost that late game against UNA and Lipscomb there, just because the loser would have to come from behind from the loser's bracket, beat the other team twice, and just such the quick turnaround there from like you said, that game going until 1 in the morning, having to turn around and play at 9:30. Just the fact that UNA was able to beat Florida Gulf Coast at 9:30 in the morning, 6-5 after coming off that late game is spectacular in its own right. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. I don't think they got enough credit for that. And then turning around and even taking this game into extra inning against Lipscomb is also just a testament to this UNA team, how gritty they are.
Yep.
But it does sting a little bit being 1 out away and just had an outfielder unfortunately kind of stumble there and trip over his own feet and unable to put the game away when we had a chance. So frustrating this whole season with Lipscomb, just because we lost both series against them.
Yep.
And we had plenty of chances to win some of those games, ultimately win those series, and just frustrating like we see here in the ASUN tournament. So close, had so many chances to put this game away, and we're just unable to do so. Lipscomb just always kind of had our number this year, which is unfortunate to say, but there are a lot of positives, like you looked at. Regular season ASUN Gold Division champions.
Yep.
Second year making the ASUN tournament. Farthest we've gone in the ASUN tournament by far. We did end up beating the number 1 seeded ASUN team, North Florida, 11-4 in our second game of the ASUN tournament here. So a lot of positives to look at. Ultimately coming out of this tournament with 3 wins and only 2 losses. Mm-hmm. Both losses in extra innings, 1-run games there. So a lot of positives to look at. Also opened up a brand new baseball stadium this year,
Yep.
which was just awesome environment to be in. Also looking forward to Bacon Independent Stadium opening up this fall for UNA football as well. So a lot of positives, not only with UNA baseball, but the entire school and UNA athletics as a whole, moving in such a great direction. But this one's going to sting for a little while, Eli. It's going to sting for a bit. I don't think I'm over it yet.
Me either. But other than that, this was a short podcast. We were just trying to get one out for you guys because we have missed the last week and a half or so. Hopefully you guys will be able to listen to this one on Sunday, which is tomorrow for us. But if not, it'll be Monday or Tuesday. But we still appreciate you guys for watching and liking the videos. And if you do like it, please feel free to give us a follow on Instagram or subscribe to YouTube or follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Again, wherever you watch or listen to our podcast. And other than that, I think that's all we got this time around. Again, it's going to be maybe a 20-minute podcast or so, but I think it's good enough for today, and we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, being able to recap or predict some super regionals. So, other than that, I think that's all we got, and we'll see you guys next time on the College Lineup.